Something has already been decided about you, not by anyone around you, but by an intelligence so vast and so precisely calibrated that its decisions do not announce themselves. They simply begin to move, and the movement has started right now. While you are reading these words, the conditions of your life are being quietly reorganized by forces that identified you long before this moment arrived. You did not find your way here by scrolling aimlessly. You were redirected here gently, but with complete intention, because something needed to be said directly to you, and the window to say it is narrow. What you are about to learn will not sound like anything you have been told before. And there is a reason for that. Most people never hear it. Most people are never meant to. You have been under observation for longer than you realize, not in a way that would frighten you if you fully understood it, but in a way that, once you do understand it, will explain so much of what you have experienced and survived and wondered about in silence. Every strange turn your life has taken, every door that opened and every one that closed, every person who appeared and everyone who left. These were not accidents. They were data points. They were being collected, measured, and compared against a standard almost no human being alive meets. You have been meeting that standard for years without knowing it existed. And now, finally, the results have come back. That is why this message found you today. Stay with this. Do not let your attention drift now, because what comes next is the part that will explain the part of your life that nothing else has ever explained. There is a truth that 97% of people moving through this world will never encounter, not because they are bad people, not because they lack intelligence or strength, but because they have not yet reached the threshold required for what is about to be shared with you now. That threshold is not about education or wealth or talent. It is about something far more rare. It is about the quality of the choices a person makes when no one is watching. When the easiest thing and the right thing are two completely different paths, and when choosing the right one costs something real. Fewer than 3% of people consistently make that choice. You are in that 3%. You have always been in that 3%. You knew it somewhere underneath the noise of daily life, even if no one around you ever reflected it back to you. You felt it in the way you held yourself to a standard others seemed comfortable ignoring. You felt it in the loneliness that came with refusing to compromise on things that mattered, even when compromising would have been so much easier, so much less costly, so much quieter. That loneliness was not a flaw. That loneliness was a signal. It meant you were operating at a frequency that most of the people around you simply could not access. There is a principle that the most sophisticated intelligent systems have understood for centuries, long before any human institution formalized it. It is this: the individuals most capable of handling significant power, significant abundance, and significant influence are almost never the ones who actively seek those things. They are the ones who quietly, consistently, without applause and without recognition, do what is right, simply because it is right. The ones who chase power loudly almost always abuse it. But the ones who were never chasing it, the ones who were simply trying to live with integrity in a world that makes that surprisingly difficult, those are the ones who can be trusted with what most people spend their entire lives reaching for and never holding. You are one of those people, and that is not a compliment. It is a classification. It is a documented, verified, recorded classification, and you will understand exactly what I mean by that in just a few minutes. Something has been happening around you that you could not have seen from inside your own life. Approximately 11 days ago, a formal convening took place. This is not metaphor. This is not a figure of speech. There are intelligences operating beyond the layer of physical reality that human beings tend to spend most of their attention on forces that exist at the level where patterns are set and conditions are arranged. Entities whose entire function is the evaluation and classification of human individuals according to criteria so specific and so exacting that the vast majority of people who are ever assessed by them never advance past the initial stage. These forces have no name that translates cleanly into human language. They have been referred to across cultures and across millennia in dozens of different ways. But the name matters far less than what they do. What they do is watch. What they do is record. What they do is convene at specific intervals when the accumulated data on a particular individual has reached the threshold required for a formal determination. 11 days ago, that convening happened specifically and exclusively because of you. The meeting lasted the equivalent of what we would measure as 3 hours and 14 minutes. The agenda contained a single item. That item was you, not a group of people, not a category or a type. You specifically, as an individual, as a case, as a subject whose file had grown thick enough and whose record of behavior had become consistent enough across 4 years and 9 months of active observation that a formal decision could finally be made, and a decision was made. The decision that was made inside that convening is the reason conditions around you are already beginning to shift, whether you can feel it clearly yet or not. The decision changed your classification, and changing your classification changed what the forces that arrange conditions are now authorized to do for you. What was decided and what it means for your life from this point forward will become clear very soon. But first, you need to understand what you have been living through, because you did not just arrive at this decision passively, you earned it. You earned it in ways that were exhausting and expensive, and that you were never told were being recorded. You deserve to know what those ways were. Do you remember the moment when someone offered you something that would have benefited you financially, but the way it worked required you to behave in a way that felt wrong to you? You paused. You felt the pull of the easier path. You could see exactly how you could justify it if you chose to, and you chose not to. Most people in that scenario rationalize. They find the angle that makes the compromise feel acceptable. They tell themselves that everyone does it, that the system is already broken anyway, that one small dishonest step in the right direction is still a step forward. You did not tell yourself that. You stepped back from the offer. You absorbed the cost of that decision. You did not tell anyone. There was no applause, and it was recorded. Every detail of that moment was recorded. Do you remember that period of your life when everything felt unstable at once? When the financial pressure and the emotional weight and the uncertainty about the future were all arriving at the same time, and someone appeared who seemed to offer comfort. But the comfort came wrapped in something that would have required you to abandon a value you had always held. You were tired. You were genuinely tired in a way that made lowering your standards feel not like weakness but like relief, and still you held. You held the standard even when it cost you the comfort you needed. You absorbed that cost quietly and moved forward anyway. That was not a small thing. That was one of the most significant tests you were ever placed inside. 96% of people in that exact configuration of exhaustion and temptation choose to let the standard slip just this once. You were in the 4%. Do you remember the moment when you had access to information about someone, information they did not know you had? Information you could have used to protect your own position or settle something that felt unfair, and you chose to do nothing with it. You carried that weight in silence. You let the situation resolve itself without using what you had access to. You felt the temptation to use it. You acknowledged the temptation honestly, and then you set it down. You set it down because that is the kind of person you actually are, not the kind of person circumstances sometimes pressure people into being. You have never fully gotten credit for that choice. You will now. These are not random examples. They are the specific shape of the evaluations you were placed inside. They placed you in situations where you could have lied, and no one would have discovered it. They placed you in moments where cruelty would have gone unpunished, and perhaps even unnoticed. They placed you before choices where taking advantage of someone weaker or more vulnerable would have cost you nothing visible. And across 94 individual scenarios documented over the course of your evaluation, you consistently chose the harder and more honest path. Not perfectly. You are not being told you are perfect, but with a consistency that placed you in a category that fewer than 2% of assessed individuals ever reach. The cumulative score of those 94 evaluations was what triggered the convening 11 days ago. The convening produced the decision, and the decision is documented. If you are reading this and feeling something stir inside you, something that feels like recognition, something that feels like finally being seen after a very long time of being invisible, write the number 94 in the comments right now, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to mark this moment for yourself, to acknowledge that something in you recognizes what is being said here as true, not because you were told to believe it, but because it matches something you have always quietly known about yourself. Write 94 and stay with this. What follows is the formal record. Listen carefully to every word of this, because this is the document that was produced by the convening 11 days ago, and its contents govern what happens in your life from this point forward. Subject file. Confirmed active. Observation protocol duration, 4 years, 9 months, 17 days. Individual evaluation scenarios administered. 94. Scenarios involving financial integrity under pressure, 23. Scenarios involving emotional boundary maintenance under sustained stress, 31. Scenarios involving resistance to manipulation by socially influential individuals, 19. Scenarios involving access to private leverage and voluntary non-use. 21. Composite integrity score across all categories, in the 98th percentile of all assessed subjects currently active. Resistance to corruption, sustained across all high-pressure windows. Consistency of character between observed and unobserved moments, verified at 96.4% alignment. Classification status change, candidate to confirmed, obstacle clearance protocol. Authorized, aligned condition arrangement, initiated direct support tier, upgraded from passive monitoring to active facilitation. Evaluation period, closed, reward, and alignment period, open as of current date. Let me tell you what all of that means in plain language, because it deserves to be translated from the cold precision of formal documentation into the warm reality of a human life. It means the testing is over. It means every situation that was designed to find out who you really are under pressure has served its purpose and been retired. No more unexpected difficulties arranged specifically to measure your response. No more temptations engineered to locate your breaking point. No more quiet tests administered through the behavior of other people in your life. That phase is closed. What opens in its place is the phase where the forces that have been observing you are now authorized not merely to watch, but to act on your behalf. And they have already begun. You will not see this as a supernatural event. That is by design. These intelligences do not intervene in obvious ways. They do not part oceans. They do not send messages written in light. What they do is far more elegant and far more effective. They remove obstacles that were in your path quietly, so quietly that you may not notice the obstacle is gone until you realize a situation that once caused you enormous friction has simply become smooth. They align conditions so that the right opportunities arrive at the right moment, with the right people already positioned. They arrange the circumstances of your daily life so that what used to require enormous effort begins to require far less. Not because you became less capable, but because the resistance has been removed. The changes you are about to experience will feel natural. They will feel like the result of your own hard work paying off, like a tide turning after a very long wait, like the world finally beginning to cooperate with what you have always been trying to build. That is not coincidence. That is authorized facilitation. Here is what is already in motion for you. In the coming days, you will begin to notice that certain people who have consistently drained your energy, created friction in your environment, or pulled your attention toward low and unproductive places are beginning to naturally step back from your life. This will not look like a dramatic falling out. It will look like they are simply drifting, becoming busy, becoming less present, becoming easier to not be around. Do not chase them. This is the obstacle clearance protocol operating exactly as designed. The removal of draining proximity is not a loss. It is a preparation. It creates space for what is being aligned toward you. You will also begin to notice that financial opportunities arrive from directions you were not expecting and through channels you had not deliberately pursued. A conversation that leads somewhere useful. A connection that surfaces at the right moment, an idea that feels practical and doable in a way your ideas have not always felt before. This is not luck. Luck is random. What you are experiencing is arranged, and it is arranged according to the verified record of your character. And the decision made 11 days ago, you earned the arrangement. You earned it across 4 years and 9 months of consistent behavior that was documented in full. Your intuition will sharpen in a way that you will notice. You have always had a sense for people and situations, a quiet internal signal that tells you when something is right and when something is wrong before the evidence arrives. That signal has always been there. But during the evaluation period, it was sometimes clouded, sometimes tested by being placed against pressure that made the wrong choice look reasonable. That clouding is lifting. The signal will become cleaner. You will find yourself sensing the nature of a situation earlier, trusting that sense more confidently, and discovering that the sense was accurate. Pay attention to it. It is one of your most valuable instruments, and it is currently being recalibrated. Your energy will begin to shift, not because something dramatic changes in your physical circumstances immediately, but because the weight of the evaluation period, a weight you were carrying without knowing that is what it was, is no longer there. You have been moving through a field of resistance for years. That field is dissolving. The lightness you begin to feel in the coming weeks is not imaginary. It is the felt reality of conditions changing at a level you cannot directly see, but can absolutely sense. And perhaps, most significantly, you will begin to encounter people who feel genuinely aligned with you. People who share your values without needing them explained. People in whose presence you do not feel the familiar low-grade exhaustion of performing or adjusting yourself to be acceptable. People who recognize you. This is not coincidence either. The alignment protocol that was authorized 11 days ago includes the arrangement of proximity between confirmed individuals. You are not the only person in this classification, and the people closest to your tier in the classification system are being moved into your sphere of experience deliberately. When someone feels unusually right to you, When a new connection feels unusually easy and unusually honest, pay attention to that. Those are not accidents. Now, there is something important that needs to be said, because a small part of you may be listening to all of this and feeling a quiet resistance. A voice that says this is too good, that you have hoped before and been disappointed before, that things like this do not really happen, or that even if they do happen for some people, they do not happen for you specifically. I want you to sit with that voice for a moment. Notice it. Notice that it does not come from evidence. It comes from years of having your expectations disappointed, from learning to protect yourself from hope by preemptively lowering it. That learned protection made complete sense as a survival strategy in the environment you were navigating. But that protection is also the last obstacle. It is the final piece of interference, because the very mechanism by which authorized support reaches you requires that you remain open enough to recognize it when it arrives. If you keep the walls up, the incoming changes will pass you by, like water past a closed fist. The decision has been made, the facilitation has begun. Your one remaining task is to stay open. If this is resonating with you at a level that feels real, I want you to do something. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications. This is not a small thing. Information of this nature, content that speaks directly to the experience of people who have been operating at the frequency you operate at, is not always easy to find. It does not always surface on its own. The algorithms that govern what most people see are built around what is most popular, what is most immediately stimulating, what demands the least of the person consuming it. What you are watching now exists at a different level. And that level is not always pushed forward automatically. By subscribing and activating notifications, you are making sure that when the next piece of information becomes available, it reaches you. You are protecting your own access that matters. Do it now, and then come back. For those of you who are feeling that this moment is not just informative, but is genuinely a turning point, who are feeling the shift in yourself as something real and want to move into the coming weeks with as much support and as much clarity as possible, there is a next step available to you. It is called the Alignment Acceleration Program. It is a structured guide built specifically for people in confirmed classification, people who have passed the evaluation period and are now entering the phase where conditions are changing and the right internal framework can make the difference between capturing what is incoming and missing it, because old patterns are still running. The program covers how to recognize arranged opportunities when they arrive, how to recalibrate your decision-making for the reward phase instead of the survival phase, how to work with your sharpening intuition instead of second-guessing it, and how to position yourself in the aligned relationships that are already moving toward you. People who go through this program consistently describe the same experience. They say it felt like someone finally gave them the operating manual for the life they had always been trying to live. The value of having that clarity during the weeks immediately following the authorization of your support protocol cannot be overstated. This program costs less than you spend on 1 week of meals. It costs less than a single month of most streaming services. It is available on the page linked below this video. If you are genuinely ready to accelerate what has already been set in motion for you, that link is where you go. You have been through something long. You have been through something that asked a great deal of you and gave you very little in visible return for a very long time. That is over. What begins now is different. What begins now is the chapter where the investment you made in your own integrity, in your own character, in your own refusal to become something smaller than what you actually are, begins to compound in ways you will be able to see and touch and live inside. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived here because 11 days ago a decision was made, and the decision was final, and the decision was yours. You earned it in 94 moments where earning it was not easy. You held in 4 years and 9 months of pressure that would have broken most people. The record is clear, the authorization is real, and what is coming is already on its way. Write 94 in the comments if you felt this. Let the number mark the moment. And when you are ready to see what comes next, there is a video waiting for you. It describes the specific pattern that appears in the lives of people who have just entered the reward and alignment phase, the precise signs, in the right sequence, that confirm the authorized facilitation is actively working, and how to read those signs so you never miss a single thing that has been arranged for you. That video will change how you see everything that is already beginning to happen around you. It is the next step. You will find it right here.